Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to our virtual edition of Activate 2020. I'm Will Hayes, the CEO of Lucidworks, and it is a privilege for us to be your host for this event. Clearly, this year is a little different. Typically, this is our favorite time of year to bring together in person our customers, our users, the practitioners, and everyone in and around our community of search, ML, and AI to discuss ideas, share information, and really look to the future. And while these are unprecedented times, we are committed to bringing this community back together in person as soon as we are able, and we expect that to be quite a celebration. So what is it today that we should be thinking about in light of everything that's in front of us? Well, there's a lot of questions that we can be asking. At Lucidworks, we find that the same question we've been asking all along has become increasingly more important. What is it that customers want? Now, when we think about a customer, the context can be quite broad. For some of us here today, a customer is simply consumers of products and services that we're selling directly or through channels. For others, customers can be colleagues and team members in which we are building applications and services to assist them in how they do their jobs. Partners and other folks in and around the organization in which we're building products and services to facilitate goals. But at the end of the day, customers are individual people who have stated goals, whether they are explicit or implicit, and our job is to capture those moments. During times like this, it is incredibly important that we are honoring those customers and their time and their goals and ensuring that we do everything in our power to provide a little bit of delight. Delight can come in the form of predicting my intent, of guiding me towards something I didn't even know was there, or accelerating my time to conclusion for a stated goal or a stated outcome. It really means we have a better understanding of who these individuals are, so we can deliver content in a way that is relevant, that is personal, so they don't have to restate preferences and feel like they're doing work on our behalf. So we can make it clear that we are honoring their time and delighting them at every moment. And we are aiding them in the discovery of things that are available to them that they may know nothing about. And while these goals have been consistent for a very long time, the complexity in achieving them seems to increase alongside it. And it's for reasons such as the difficulty of simply trying to understand who a customer is within the context of a given application or an entire organization. And that's primarily because the insights which tell us how to serve individuals, the performance of certain products, of certain services, knowledge and content that's relevant, is typically caught behind various silos. Because users are being served through multiple channels, which are typically backed by different systems that have different points of view of the world. And at the end of the day, this creates a very disjointed user experience where I don't feel as an individual that my needs are being met, that I'm constantly having to work through various channels to get to my end goal. And to make things even more complex, the individual doesn't even show up in the same way through various channels. The time of day, the device, the context in which I arrived to a particular opportunity, the systems that I was on previous, what's on my calendar, what's in my email, all of these things are triggering a different intention for that user as they show up, which compounds the problem of distributed silos and users who take on different forms. Ultimately, this leads to a situation where getting to consistency can feel very expensive. If we could have a one-to-one relationship and just assign a concierge for every customer experience, clearly that could be an effective answer, but not one that we can scale very well. When we don't meet those customer needs, we lose that moment, which means they are going to look for new opportunities elsewhere. As I mentioned earlier, this isn't just about consumers and people that we're serving products and services to. This can mean retaining employees, ensuring that they feel that the systems, the information, and the technology is being utilized in a way that drives their productivity, that makes them successful. Because if they're spending too much time fighting upstream, they are simply going to give up over time. If they're spending too much time having to work within inundated, outdated systems, which cannot give them the insights necessary, though the data is available, it creates a frustrating experience. And one of the biggest challenges that we see in talking to our customers is that massive, massive investments seem to make very little improvement. We just got out of a decade of failed big data implementations because they did nothing more than create yet another repository for data. Not once did we start to think about how do we derive meaning from that data and how do we ensure that that data and that meaning is being made available in every workflow in and around the organization. And this is why at Lucidworks, we've been talking to our customers around the concept of the connected experience cloud. How do you start to consolidate insight, capturing signals from anywhere they may reside, and ensuring that we can apply those insights everywhere, to every workflow, to every application, aiding in that user experience? This means that we implement and think about the telemetry data in a much richer and much more holistic context. That we believe that a single user traversing through multiple applications and multiple channels deserves consistent experience. That we can empower them as individuals through this journey, and that we can ensure that the insights that are being discovered are being made available throughout the organization. So let's take a look at what this actually means. When we talk about a user signal, I think in retail and in e-commerce, we've become very accustomed to think about signals in a very, call it limited dimensional view. Things like your search queries, things like your clicks and add to carts, when in reality, we can be thinking about all of the telemetry data that surrounds a given user. And why is this so important? Well, this is important because this is how we start to provide fidelity to this image of who this user is, to get a clearer picture. So in the case of my friend Bob, I can start to make a number of decisions around Bob the more I understand Bob's hobbies, where Bob likes to spend time. Because it's not just good enough to know who Bob is, but we want to understand everything in and around Bob and what makes for a great experience. Because if we don't, then we end up in situations where we may simply put a best-selling item in front of Bob, which may have nothing to do with what Bob has shared with us historically, and we miss an opportunity. This is what CXC is built for, is to ensure the consistency as we're capturing these signals, getting a higher fidelity picture of this user, and ensuring that we can intersect any workflow to make the right decisions on that user's behalf. And signals go well beyond just a simple retail type of paradigm. Within the workplace, signals occur all around us in terms of the way employees show up, the information that we know about these individuals, the way content and topics are performing within the organization. Part of our position around CXC came from the fact that we saw customers trying to solve the same problems around users and delighting those users by using insights and using data in an effective manner to create a more personal and a more engaging experience. This is not a problem that exists within a single domain. This is also not an area where the dimensions of things that we capture to give us telemetry need to be predefined. Each organization, each industry has ways of thinking about telemetry data. And with Lucidworks and CXC, our goal is to ensure that you're putting those insights to work where it matters. And this is where the application of those insights becomes key. Because if we keep them trapped in silos, we are limiting the potential. We're going to hear from Dipendra from Morgan Stanley later today. And Dipendra is going to talk about how at Morgan Stanley Wealth Management, they were able to dismantle these silos and ensure that insights are being served rapidly and consistently to all of the consumers, which can make use of that information. While Morgan Stanley thinks of a lot of things as a bank, Dipendra focuses in and around the experience of his users and his customer base to ensure that he is delighting them with the information he has at his disposal, and that those moments of success are being made available throughout the organization. And why is this important? Because today, our customers are faced with a variety of options. They can follow multiple paths, and it's never quite clear what is the most optimal to get to my point. And so by aiding them in that experience, we can provide productivity, which leads to delight. More importantly, when we need to intersect those experiences, we can have a customer agent, a chatbot, or any other touch point engage and actually feel a unified sense of that journey, be able to actually join in where that user left off and guide them towards their goal, not create a situation where the user's now having to restate or re-educate us about what their stated intention was. We're going to hear from Faith Adams today, and one of my favorite things about Faith's talk is the way she talks about simply capturing versus applying. It is not enough for a company to say, look at all the information that I'm capturing. Again, that was the era of Hadoop and big data and all of these failed initiatives. Today, we need to think about action. How do we capture insights from the various listening posts in which we know relevant information is being shared and ensure that we're applying those? And in CXC, we think about 3 simple steps: capturing those insights, capturing that information, understanding it through machine learning and otherwise, and making the outcomes of those insights available through embedding APIs, UI templates, and other means of pushing information out to the various work streams that can consume them. So let's take a look at what this looks like. So in the case of an organization in which we're serving a user's needs, again, users are telling us things consistently. It's listening for the way they're behaving, browsing, engaging, time, all of these different elements in which we can capture from any given application. This starts to paint a picture of that user. And through that picture, we can understand intent. Something like optimize my route. Well, if I'm an organization that carries GPSs and networking equipment, these types of things can get confusing. So CXC allows us to understand that intent based on those historical user signals and position information that can be productive either to that user from a self-service standpoint, or as we inject another channel, customer service agent, chatbot, we can ensure that they have a consistent understanding. And this is what ultimately creates that delight. The honor and respect we can show our users by making use of the information that they've already shared with us. This is critical. And when you think about what this means to an organization, doing this correctly, doing this effectively, it can mean transformation. It can mean that customers have a new relationship with the organization. They feel heard, they feel understood, but most importantly, they feel that we are investing in making sure that their needs are being met, their time is being honored, and we are helping them achieve their goals. We ensure that no matter where that customer is engaging us, they have a consistent experience. This means the business has a heightened sense of visibility. You're going to hear from Mark from Lenovo today, and Mark is going to talk about signals and all of the ways that signals help them make real-time decisions on the site to aid them in their goals of increasing revenue through digital channels. But even more interesting is how those signals provide visibility and input to all of the tangential departments and partners in which Mark serves. So being able to use CXC to provide that insight is equally as important as it is to provide that customer experience. And this ensures that we are constantly learning from the way our customers are behaving and the way that experience correlates to our goals. Our support teams can finally see the way our customers see the world. So often in customer service, they are spending their time trying to piece together clues from the variety of systems in which signals and other information is being produced. This is highly inefficient. But more importantly, it means that we fail to meet our customers' needs at times, even though we know the information is available. By using CXC, customer support teams can partner much closer with the business, not only aiding them in resolving the issues for the customers in real time, but ensuring the insights that are coming back are being worked upstream to help in decision-making, prioritization, and investments. And then finally, our technical users. All too often in the era of big data and AI, technical teams seem to feel more and more disempowered. They are constantly being blamed for the lack of innovation while constantly be providing sort of a catch-all for every one of the organization's issues. Investments that are being made in various silos within the organization do not have a unifying impact. So by bringing CXC into the picture, these technical teams are able to start to focus on the things that are most important to move the needle for the business. They can start to be recognized for that innovation. And most importantly, small investments can lead to incremental improvement. We no longer have to take on these massive experiments only to guess whether or not they are going to have the impact that we expect. This is the benefit of your connected experience cloud. Everywhere within our organizations, we have silos, people, teams, and systems. And until we unify those silos, we will never be as effective as we can be with the collective insight and knowledge that every organization has at its disposal. We encourage you to think about, how are you operationalizing those insights? How do you ensure that an insight discovered in one channel can be made available to all channels? How do you ensure that you have a holistic point of view in terms of what is the telemetry data that's relevant to your organization? At Lucidworks, we're incredibly excited to partner with you on this journey to make the CXC a reality for your organization. And don't just take our word for it. Our goal is to work with you to realize the potential of a connected experience within your organization and the transformation that that can have. So once again, I want to thank you all for joining us for this event. We cannot wait to get everybody back together again so we can continue to have the joy and the learning and the fun that we have as a community together.